Find the equation for the quadratic function given by this graph right here. Okay, so in order to find the equation, what we want to do is we want to use what's called the vertex form. So we got y equals ax minus h squared plus k. Okay. Now remember, hk represents the vertex. Okay, so for any parabola, h and k are what we call essentially fixed. Okay, based on the parabola in question, right? Based on this vertex, h and k will never change. Okay. Now remember, x and y though, x and y represents an actual point on the graph. So we know that there's infinitely many points, right? So no matter what point we pick on the graph, if we plug in that x and y value, right, then this equation should work out. Okay. Now a sort of determines if there's any stretching going on here, right? And also, if a is positive, the parabola opens up. And if a is negative, the parabola will open down. Okay. Let's take a look at the graph here, right? Now, here's the thing, right? We know what the vertex is, right? The vertex is given by 2, 7. Okay. That's good, right? So, for example, what I mean is, we know that this equation will look something like this: x minus h squared plus k, right? Yeah, but we know h. H is 2, k is 7. Right, so I guess we'll just write it again here, right? Ax minus 2 squared plus 7. Right? So the idea is, well, wait a minute, what is a? How do we determine what the value is a here? Okay, and how we do that is we just plug in a point x, y, right? For example, let's look at this graph. Do we know an ordered pair that this graph goes through? There's actually a couple we can pick, right? We can pick this one, right? 1, 5, 3, 5, looks like 0, -1, right? For example, like we don't want to pick this point because we don't know necessarily what that xy value are. So we want to pick an xy value that we know for sure is on the graph, and we can plug it in, and you notice once we do so, we can sort of work backwards and solve for a. So let's just pick 0, -1, right? So we know the point that we want to pick in this case is 0, -1, which is the x and the y value, right? Let's go ahead and plug those in. Okay, so -1 is equal to a 0 minus 2 squared plus 7. So -1 is, now here 0 minus 2 squared is -2, but square that to get 4, right? So 4a plus 7. We'll subtract the 7 to both sides, so -8 is equal to 4a. And when we divide both sides by 4, notice what we get. A equals -2. So then our final answer then, right? Now we know what a is. We know that y equals -2 times x minus 2 squared plus 7, right? This is going to be our final answer. Right? So you got to be careful with the steps here, right? First, we started out with the vertex form. We plugged in the vertex, which is in this case hk, okay? And then we used a point on the graph, okay, plugged in the x and y value to solve for a, and then just rewrite the final answer with h, k, and the a value here. Okay, once again, the y and the x, those are sort of variable, right? It depends on what point we pick on the graph.